Hey everybody, we are so excited to have you here today. Thanks for hopping on. We are just going to give everybody a few moments to get situated and let everybody come into the meeting so that we can all be here when we start, but just going to give you about 2 or 3 minutes. So this is a great time to grab a glass of water, grab some coffee, whatever you got to do to get ready. And I will hop back on in about 2 minutes and just let you know that we're ready to get it going. For those of you who are just coming into the meeting, we are just going to give everybody about 1 more minute to enter, and then we will get started. Thanks so much for your patience. All right, looks like we are all here and ready to go. So once again, thank you so much for joining us this morning or afternoon, wherever you are. We're excited for this presentation on US-CERT alerts and AttackIQ attack graphs with Chris Carrion. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Madison. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Carrion, and today's weekly demo will be focusing on responding to emerging threats and how AttackIQ users leverage US-CERT alerts and how you can essentially use our attack graphs in order to test your controls. So a little background here. Again, my name is Chris Carrion. I'm a sales engineer here for AttackIQ, and our agenda for today is, I'm going to give you a background on what an emergent threat means for AttackIQ and our approach to generating responses that our users can use. In addition to that, we're going to take you and give you a quick briefing on a recent US-CERT alert, specifically to Iranian actors conducting destructive attacks. This is US-CERT AA22-264A. And then finally, we're going to jump into the platform and actually show you how you leverage some of these composite attack flows to test your controls in production. So what is an emerging threat for AttackIQ, right? So we kind of have definitions here in the fact that our rapid response is focused on a couple of criteria, right? So it has to be relevant, right? It has to be timely, and it has to be impactful. And what we mean by timely is not only is the report recent, but is the activity recent as well, right? Is it some kind of thing that's happening around the world, and is it going to essentially reach a critical mass? Think about Log4j and various threat actors that might leverage those exploits. It has to be relevant, right? So we know our customers what they want, right? So our adversary research team is finally in tune, kind of researching the latest and greatest threats out there. So we want to be able to match that to what our customers are expecting, right? Do our customers care about these kind of emerging threats? Are they relevant to their environments, and are they relevant to the technologies that they employ? Finally, the impact here is, when these reports are released, essentially it's going to have a snowball effect where it's going to get picked up by media, additional vendors or researchers might add additional details and kind of expand on the impact of these type of attacks, right? So again, we're going to be going over specifically US-CERT alerts with a specific impact that we believe has, again, is relevant to our customers and has has the impact of being something that is critical. All right, next slide. So this is a recent example of a US-CERT alert coming from CISA. And essentially what we're saying here is we're taking, these type of alerts in addition to what they're saying and other open source intelligence that we can bring in. Again, kind of focusing on the analytics here, where we say, hey, this is an incident that has the ability to have a high impact on our customers, right? Things like 0 days, right? You think about Folina and again, Log4Shell come to mind. So, along with that, vulnerabilities that are exploiting in the wild, and we're able to bring additional intelligence, if you will, to kind of put things together and provide you with an attack flow or an attack graph that our customers can use. So what is our approach? Well, essentially, we take an initial swipe at it, so we are able to map what the events of that alert or that of that report, right? So we break it down by techniques and the flow of those techniques as it pertains to the actual activity that was reported. This a lot of the times entails breaking down the TTPs. Organizations such as US-CERT and CISA and others are starting to embrace the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So every time that there's a technique associated, they usually list these techniques, and we're able to map those techniques to our attack scenario library, right? So all our attack scenarios are mapped to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Therefore, we're very easily able to essentially pick the scenarios that are relevant to the reporting and start building essentially a flow that our users can leverage when trying to test these controls. Right. So again, depending on the report here, we will generate a blog to accompany our attack flows, and so this is used for analysts that want to be able to dig a little deeper, perhaps start testing the controls in different ways, start kind of tweaking the techniques that they're finding in these attack scenarios in order to really start getting relevant and actionable results, right? So we identify the actions that our customers should be taking immediately, and then obviously it can include things like the existing scenarios, but we could also work with our clients to generate scenarios that are unique in the fact that these attack scenarios are highly customizable, and we're able to essentially say, hey, we haven't seen this technique before, but we're going to develop it, add it to the library, and that way it'll be available for our client base here. Right. So, we just don't get this information from, US-CERT alerts, right? So this is, you think about the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of data out there that's generated when a high impact incident is reported on. So our job as AttackIQ and the adversary research team is to put these pieces together, right? Because not all reporting has the answers, right? There's always other third parties that are reporting that might have seen something different as part of that attack campaign. So putting that piece together, those pieces together, really facilitates us kind of putting together an adversary emulation package that is, it has as much information as possible to be able to exercise those controls. So in addition to that, all the reporting is fine, but we still want to be able to analyze it ourselves because there might be some pieces that might be missing, even though we might find additional reporting, right? So this is where the experience and firsthand knowledge of our analysts comes into play. A lot of our analysts come from, the defender, the SOC floors, intelligence agencies, military, and they use that knowledge and experience to kind of dig a little deeper, make sure that we have everything covered, and then we can combine that that external reporting with our internal knowledge to really kind of close those gaps and present you with a product that you can test in production. So, kind of getting into the nuts and bolts here, right? So, in addition to the reporting, we, actively go out there and try to analyze any relevant malware, ransomware, or any type of, technical information that may be out there that might be helpful to put these attack graphs together. And so we have the technical skill set to essentially tear apart the malware or any specific piece of code scripts that may be used in that campaign. Again, kind of calling out the different techniques that might be involved in those specific scripts or malware. It might be reaching out to a C2 node. It might be encrypting certain files or traffic. So that's very important in being able to essentially pick the right techniques and tactics that are mapped to our scenario library and kind of put them all together in a way that makes sense and is really kind of emulating that adversary's behavior in production. So when we pull it all together, as you can see on the top portion of this slide here is using our anatomic engine and our attack scenarios, we can chain these events together, these techniques, these TTPs, in such a way that it emulates what an adversary is doing every step of the way. So, from anywhere from initial access, credential harvesting, discovery, defense evasion, execution, and impact, right? So the entire attack kill chain is something that we focus on. We put it all together using our attack graphs. In addition to what I mentioned before, what was the logs that accompany these workflows to be able to really tell the customer, tell the story, how we're able to gather this information, how we're able to put it all together and present it to you. So the focus here today is the recent US alert. Again, that is AA2226-4A, Iranian actors destructive attacks against Albania. Now, again, we took this information that was available from the US-CERT CISA website, and it does provide some insights into what happened, right? Obviously, the attack against the government of Albania occurred sometime during July, but we know that these actors were in that network at least a year. We have some additional information that kind of ties it all together. The FBI also indicated that these Iranian hackers, were kind of part of that, and they might have some ties to the government. But what we're seeing here is kind of unique because in the past, Iranian threat actors have been focused on purely destructive attacks, but this kind of component of ransomware is really it's actually something new because these are kind of quasi-government groups that are also have a monetary incentive to start these attack campaigns, just aside just purely from a malicious, destructive espionage method, right, or objective, right? We're seeing these Iranian actors kind of branch out into their own enterprising organizations that are focused on financial gains. Like I said before, we do bring in additional reporting that we might find out there. In the case of this US-CERT alert and this attack graph, we saw that there was some connections being drawn to OilRig. And this comes from a Microsoft blog, right? This comes from a Microsoft analysis that, like I said before, they saw similar activity from a different perspective. So we were able to pull that in, analyze that report, pulling the different techniques that were noted, and put it all together as a package there for you. Right. So again, just kind of focusing here on OilRig, right? So in addition to the threat actors that were involved, there was also additional, groups that were highlighted here for this attack graph. So Helix, Kitten, which is APT34, but also APT33 was also involved here. Again, kind of taking that additional context and kind of combining that with previous attack graphs, right? So we also have activity that were noted, so we're able to reference that in order to put this this attack graph here together for you. So this is what we have. Again, kind of our response was the creation of a new attack graph that is here shown on the right-hand side. It does have a couple steps that I will go over once we jump into the platform, but I'll also reference the the latest adversary emulation blog that we published for you to actually see the TTPs that were involved, and then kind of the context and the history of how we're able to put this piece together. I also kind of want to highlight here again, this is what I'm going to talk about here in the platform is what we call anatomic testing, and that means it's just multiple scenarios put together and chained together in a way that's going to mimic and emulate an adversary, how they go about their whole kill chain process. That is kind of different from atomic testing, which essentially involves individual TTPs being tested on your production environment. So we can drop a ransomware sample to see how your EDR performs, or maybe send a outbound traffic with suspicious payload to see how your firewall behaves, right? So again, kind of the difference here on the atomic and anatomic as well as network, right? There might be cases where we can also replicate traffic or replay traffic, if you will, back and forth between different boundaries in your network. Again, so this kind of deals with the different modalities that are available in the product for testing. Right. And with that being said, I want to jump into the platform. So let me go ahead and switch screens here for you. So what you're seeing here is essentially the UI. I just logged in right now, and what I'm seeing here is my assessment template library. We have a lot of hundreds of ready-made assessments that are already predefined. And to find the Iranian US-CERT, the latest one that I talked about, we could simply just search for the template name. We could also do a filtering for custom emulations. But I'm just going to type Iran, and that should show up here. Right. So again, it's AA22264A. If I click on the details, it's going to give you a description of what the intent of this assessment is. Again, kind of basing and referencing the CISA alert that I talked about earlier. So all we have to do from here, if I wanted to test this attack graph, is just go ahead and click Create Assessment. So what you'll note here is that what you're seeing is essentially the attack chain, right? So we can start here by kind of explaining a few of these attack scenarios that I chained together. And this is how this campaign would start, right? These Iranian ransomware actors would start. Essentially, what they do here is they're going to harvest credentials, right? So we have a scenario that's going to dump the LSAS process into a mini dump file. What happens next here is that they're going to employ the Mimikatz tool to essentially dump the passwords, and also use the Mimikat here to gather the volume to essentially get the credentials from the volume shadow copy that's available on Windows systems, right? So that's the first step for credential harvest. The next step here, you will categorize this as discovery, right? So after initial credential harvesting processes, this threat actor will scan for remote systems for open ports, open services. So I can actually here show you, if I right click and click configure scenario parameters, is that we're actually going to say, okay, do you want this threat actor to would emulate the scanning of a local network? What kind of ports do you want to check? This is all configurable, so meaning I don't have to tell this attack graph to scan the local network. You can actually list different networks outside of the local network that you might want to target, in addition to adding additional ports to really kind of test and validate the controls, the network controls that should be blocking that activity from happening. As it moves down the path here, other activities that it might partake is do lateral movement on different services that might find open. In this case, remote desktop, right? That will be port 3389. And so you can specify any port or any other service. In this case, because we saw activity from this threat actor targeting RDP protocols, then we actually added a scenario that matched that perfectly. In addition, other activity that was noted in this attack graph or in this alert was the fact that this Iranian actor was scanning additional service, and what it did is it was scanning for FTP servers in order for it to really kind of stage the exfiltration of data, which you can see here below. So once this activity is conducted, it'll move on to the bulk exfiltration of data via HTTP. You can specify, again, kind of speaking to the customizability here, you can specify different bulk exfiltration files. You can use the ones that are already in the platform as sample data, and as well as specify the ports that you want to test for exfiltration. However, as I said before, this Iranian actor was noted to be exfiltrating via HTTP. As we move down the chain here, we kind of get into the area of defense evasion. So in this case, this threat actor is going to download a tool that's going to disable Microsoft Defender. You can actually see that if I right-click on the scenario parameters again, is that we're actually using the tool that they use, which is disabledefender.exe, to see if it actually disables the service, right? It's just going to test if we're able to essentially disable that. As it moves down the path, it's going to download both to disk and memory, and conduct additional, token impersonation scenarios in order to really escalate the privileges. In addition to making sure that the Windows Defender does not start up again upon reboot. So this procedure, these last three attack scenarios speak about that, right? We're using Windows management instrumentation commands, as well as modifying registry keys in order to prevent Microsoft Defender from restarting and potentially halting this attack. So this is a defense evasion technique that this actor is conducting at this moment. Again, as we move further down in the attack chain, now we get to the execution piece. This actor in particular is going to download the Go XML file encryptor into memory. This is the actual application that they're using in order to encrypt the files. And then we're going to download it both in memory and the file system. In addition to other kind of persistence steps here, in case that is blocked or in case that is removed, this threat actor is actually trying to, kind of maintain persistence that way using startup folders, as well as getting ready to do additional reconnaissance for when, the actual execution of the encryption takes place, right? You can see here, down the line here, essentially going to say it's going to run this registry. Essentially, it's going to say, hey, I want to be able to add my calling card, or on the desktop background. What was noted in this report specifically was that they added their own brand and their own calling card, installing a background image on the victim's box. So that way they actually making a name for themselves here. Let's see. And finally, we get to the part of the step where one of the activities that happened in the reporting here is that the Albanian government was able to identify this threat actor as part of a retaliation. These Iranian threat actors went ahead and wiped the boxes, right? So it was a retaliation on part of these actors against the Albanian government, because there was some attribution that they were able to achieve and kind of point out and actually sour some of the government relationships between Iran and Albania, according to the report. So what happened is, again, as part of the retaliation, they were able to use a modified tool called Zero Clear in order to essentially wipe out the all the content of the systems, essentially rendering it inoperable at this point. So as you can see, it moves down to adding additional tools in order to map the drives, and then finally essentially finishing with the wiping mechanism there and the persistence. There's opportunities here to add additional steps, such as encryption mechanisms. We do have attack scenarios that I can point out to, that if you wanted to really kind of test the encryption, these attack scenarios, what they'll do is essentially copy a file separate in a separate folder and see if that attack scenario can encrypt it, right? So if you want to test like ransomware encryption methods and protocols, that is a way that you can expand on this attack graph. So in order to run this attack graph, it's very easy to do. Once you showed how do you look it up, filter by name. Now we have this on the setup page. The next step here is essentially to being able to add additional details that need to be added as part of this attack graph, right? You'll notice here some of these attack scenarios are highlighted in red, and that indicates that it needs additional input from your end. And in this case, we're actually testing a lateral movement technique with RDP. So it needs the information of the target system. That's very easy to do. All you do is right click, configure attack scenario parameters, add the IP address that you want to target. You can also derive the domain and username from the host if you want to test the local account. Click save, and you'll notice that the red highlighting is gone. Same thing with this, is you want to be able to add that target system. You can specify the specific additional protocols. In this case, though, the Iranian actor was known to be targeting FTP services. So add that information there. I forgot to port. Once all scenarios have the needed information in order to carry out that emulation, that big giant red banner should disappear. And now the next step after that is simply select the asset that's going to be involved in this attack scenario. You can choose one or more, and the way to do that is you simply click on this pencil icon and select the asset that you want to target. In this case, I'm going to target, I'm going to use this, this host as part of this attack scenario from which it's going to be conducted. Click apply. If you have any kind of HTTP proxies in your environment, we give you the ability to apply those settings as global properties as well. After that, click continue and simply run it, right? It might take a couple of minutes for the results to come back, but essentially what this is going to test is your endpoint security, your network boundary controls, and other things like microsegmentation, and things that, you know, it's also data loss prevention solutions that you might have deployed in order for, if you want to test the exfiltration piece. So it's going to exercise all your controls simply by leveraging this attack graph. All right, so if we click run, actually have that here running. You can see that I have this running. I already have results coming in. So in my case, in my this demo instance, the activity was prevented. The detection is pending, but you could see where, you know, we have some of the preventions set up here. So as it goes down through the path, it's going to go ahead and validate that prevention or not prevention, and it's going to go ahead and work with your integrations to pull any kind of detection telemetry in order to correlate that activity as we're seeing in our network for our defenses. So that's pretty much how you would run this latest attack graph focused on Iranian ransomware and disk wiping attacks against the government of Albania. If you wanted to learn more about this attack in particular, like I said before, we do have you know, accompanying blogs for our latest and greatest attack graphs here. This is so you can check this out. It kind of breaks down, you know, what I talked about, the different steps involved here, as well as you know, tying the specific TTPs or the MITRE techniques that are a part of this attack graph. And also we include mitigation options, mitigation recommendations here for you as part of, you know, things that you should do when you're you know, running this attack scenario, these attack scenarios, right? Or part of the attack graph is where for each attack scenario, we're going to include a mitigation for you to validate the control, and then you can test again and kind of validate that, you know, that gap is actually closed, right, for you if it's not prevented. Other additional resource that I like to point out is our AttackIQ Academy, right? So what I talked about is a pre-made attack graph that is available to customers right now. However, you know, nothing is really stopping you from creating your own attack graphs. So we have the training courses here in our AttackIQ Academy, and I would highly recommend application of MITRE ATT&CK Navigator, as well as beyond atomic testing with attack flows, and also assessment design for gap analysis. These training courses will allow you to essentially gain insights into how to engage some of these attack graphs and really apply a threat-informed defense approach to validating your controls. Lastly, I'll also mention that you can sign up for a free trial for a AttackIQ demonstration platform. So once you sign up, you'll get access to the AttackIQ platform. It is a trial, so it's limited in the amount of attack scenarios that you can see, but it will give you an idea of how to set up the AttackIQ platform in your environment using agents. And so you're able to test different technologies and techniques that's part of these pre-made assessments. So highly encourage you to visit attackiq.com and sign up for the free trial so you can get a better sense of how easy it is to run these attack graphs. And the one that's included in the trial is dealing with OilRig, so it's very relevant here, which allow you to more or less test the techniques that OilRig uses in a chain manner. That is all I have for today. I hope you find this useful. Again, my name is Chris Carrion, and I hope you gain something out of this. Madison, I'll turn it back to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you everyone for joining today. We are so glad that you are here. If you have any follow-up questions, I'm not seeing any in the chat, but if you do, you can always reach out to us or reach out to Chris individually. And until then, have a great day, and we will see you at our next demo.